What do you think about starting with our next review?
Sounds pretty good.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Excited for Phyrexia. All will be one.
Yes, exactly. Are you that excited? I was not. I was super excited to see the spoiler, and now that the cards are released, on one hand, it's relaxing to not have that many new cards that influence our format, especially looking at the commander side.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're.
To be honest, it's been a while, right? It's been Modern Horizons, and since then it's been kind of a drought of really impactful cards, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I think the last set was also like there were the retro frame cards that's only for pimping your decks. Okay, there was no new cards. There were no new cards, only reprints. But apart from that, there were not that many cards. A few of them always, okay. And we talked about it in the last review too.
Just like in this set.
But I feel like now it's even less compared to the last one. And the last one was already not that influential compared to Dominaria United. Which brought... okay, and it's also focused on legendary creatures, but it brought a lot of new legends. And apart from that, a few spells too. And influenced Pauper and other formers and whatsoever. So
yeah, well, initiative, but initiative has also been out.
But initiative is not from Dominaria United. It was from Battle of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, right.
Anyways,
like you said with the legendary cards, I think with this set you saw. Oh, we care about Infect now.
Yes, definitely.
And that's a downer, I would say. It's a mechanic usually not very great in Duel Commander. But let's look at the cards.
Well, I mean, maybe the hope was big to yeah, and they were again Wizards was kind of creative with these oil counter mechanics and with the toxic ability, which is obviously better than Infect.
Kinda.
I mean,
it's worse with pump spells, right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, fair
I don't think those. If you play Legacy Infect, I don't think you will play a lot of toxic cards. You will still play Infect cards and invigorate them into big boys that kill in one turn.
Yeah, fair. For the first one, we have picked Tyvar, the new Golgari Planeswalker. And while I think the modern community is quite hyped about this card, in combination with Devoted Druid combos, I'm also quite hyped about playing this card. I'm a bit struggling to find a deck. I think you could test it in Grist. There are a few cards that can utilize the static ability. The mill can be relevant too. I think it's a fine or even quite a good card for Hogak. And then, Martin, if there is a point at which we will play some Aluran or creature-based combo decks again, this might also find its way into these decks. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for those decks it's quite an interesting card. I think usually you want like either removal or like card advantage engine on CM3 cards, but the revival effect is quite nice. And of course the plus being mana positive with most mana dogs is good, and maybe reviving a mana dog as well, so you can get your mana back quite quickly with this one. Besides like Devoted Druid, usually most combo lines don't really require you to untap with a creature. So I can't really think of any combo line that besides Devoted Druid that this really enables to drop the creature, play this, and have the combo in the same turn. Do you know anything?
No, but I mean, when I saw the card, I was thinking about stuff like Fauna Shaman and Fiend Artisan and all that, just as an example, to have a direct tutor and also maybe use the +1 for another tutor, if that's ever relevant. I don't know.
With Fauna Shaman, it's quite nice, right?
Yeah, and Fiend Artisan works similar, just that it's in this regards is worse because you have to pay much more mana since the creature enters directly and Fauna Shaman searches on hand. But yeah, there might be a case, there might be even more creatures. Maybe there's a Mother of Runes and you can give protection to have a creature unblocked or whatsoever. So there might be various things. I haven't really thought that much about it yet.
If we bring back breakfast, which we might,
Mm-hmm.
I think this could be very interesting in this, because those decks play all the tap sacrifice or punish on cards. So I think
that's what I
maybe
meant. The creature-based combo decks might benefit from this.
that are very deep into combo. That are not
Yes.
like, we splash 2 combos to finish games that we can't win. Fun card, definitely. I think this is also a card that you have in the back of your mind for the future. Just to look at new prints, maybe new commander combos, and just look at it. And if it's a Golgari commander with a nice effect that matters on tapping creatures, this will be included, usually, I would imagine.
I think so too. It's just a card that it gets better and better. Like there's no downside here. Let's jump onto the next one. Also a multicolor legend, which is Melira.
No downside here either. 2 mana 3/3. Still good in 2023.
Yes, I mean the first phrase is kind of irrelevant for our format, and maybe even for other formats. Kind of looks like a sideboard thing. If Infect is becoming a thing again, I don't know. But the second phrase, so I see this card in most aggressive decks, Saskia and stuff like this. There is already Safi, and there are some Safi loops, that works in the similar way, and in order to circumvent the potential to loop this card again, they said you have to exile it instead of sacrificing it. But it's still a very good card, and also you can target creatures and artifacts. So this is pretty interesting too.
Saving your Smuggler's Copter, for example, in a mid-range deck is quite nice.
Yep.
But I think that the main thing we are talking about with this is that it's a 2 mana 3/3 with a legendary creature type, so maybe relevant for Yoshi if you play green with Yoshi.
Yeah, true.
And a nice upside that if you develop a board, you can save 1 creature against a wrath or a creature against removal, forcing your opponent to kill this first.
Yeah.
So nice to have.
Definitely. And the legendary frame is always great. I love it on cards. I like it a lot. Then there is the Zenith Chronicler. It's a new colorless creature for 2, a 3/1 buddy that draws you cards whenever your opponent. So let's suppose you play a monocolor deck. That should be granted. So whenever your opponent is casting multicolored spells, once a turn you can draw a card, which is a fine card, I think. There is, every now and then you see Zai being around. Probably the most played affinity deck in a format. Once in a while you see some crazy guy playing his Krankenwagen, so the Wretched, the Rescue Racer. Is rather a niche deck, but I will also test this card in Wretched. I think it's fine. Fine stats.
Yeah, aggressive stats is always nice on cards like this, so you can, if it's not there to hate your opponent out of playing cards, it's there to kill your opponent.
Yep.
And especially with like Nif Mizzet still being a very popular deck in the format and seeing a lot of play, this is nice. So usually probably trading at least 2 for 1 against your opponent's double colored removal, unless your opponent, of course, has their mono-colored removal, but those are usually the premium cards, so they maybe don't want to waste it at a 2-drop. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we take it. Then there is a fancy new dinosaur.
Yeah, we also take 8 damage and 4 poison counters, right?
Yes. Yeah, and here again, Toxic is unfortunately irrelevant because 3 hits of this guy. Well, it depends on the wall you can provide, but if you manage to block, that would be possible. I'm just thinking about if you manage to block 2 damage a turn, only 6 gets through, and you end up at 18, so the Toxic would still be lethal. But yeah, this is a card for, especially I think about Keenan. I've talked to the Keenan players in our community, and we all agree on testing this card. But there are other decks that might also have a place for it. maybe something like Azusa, something that, yeah, everything that produces mana very fast and gets ahead or tries to get ahead on board. This one is definitely better than the previous dinosaur for 6 mana, which had trample and hexproof, I think, and also could not be countered. But this one comes with haste, and Ward 4 is definitely
basically hexproof.
Yeah, it's very similar to hexproof. So
yeah, the haste is very relevant. You get a nice finisher. Usually, your opponents against like a mid-range deck or a land type deck will usually sit at around 8 HP where they stabilize or something and get their own win con, and this just says, okay, was nice playing against you, your interaction doesn't matter, your removal doesn't matter, and you will get hit for 8 in your face, and
yeah,
that's it.
Considering the fact that there are a lot of control decks currently, or tempo decks that feature counter magics are around,
yeah,
this one, the first phrase is definitely good. Just in order to make sure you're not trading 7 mana for 2, and then you can basically, you're not supposed to scoop, but that's always the feels bad moment when you try to resolve your reanimate targets for real mana, and they just get countered. But okay, yeah, this could also be for 5-color reanimator. This could also be a target, by the way.
Yeah,
but currently it does not look like 5-color reanimator is an attractive thing.
Also, they usually want ETBs and stuff that kind of impacts the board.
That's
not
true.
Really a beater. If this had vigilance, maybe, but even then, it's like you're not really like stabilizing the board compared to like the guy that just wipes every other creature or card like Grizzlebrand that will just get you to draw a billion cards and stabilize the game that way.
Fair point. Let's talk about goblins.
Goblins.
So once again, I think this is has become a meme for half a year now. Shoutouts to the Goblin Gang, because apparently every set has some new goblins that make Granzo slightly better. And here's another one. The first phrase might synergize with your commander, since Granzo has counters. And the second one, I mean, it's basically a Arzonist, I think it's called, with an upside. That's it. And yeah, you might even see that outside. I think it's not good enough to be played in Yuri, but maybe there's something in the future.
Yeah,
I mean, goblins are getting better and better.
Definitely. I think this is even though it might not be like very relevant to this sacrifice outlet decks, I think this might be there in the future.
Yeah.
I think pinging any target is usually pretty okay.
Yeah, that's for sure. Also, I can imagine, I've never seen the matchup Rafine versus Granzo, but I can imagine it's quite tough for the Granzo player.
Yeah, definitely.
Since you lack some interaction, depending on the pile, obviously, depending on the brew, but I always have this very creature-heavy pile in mind that features just the best of interaction, Fury, Pyrokinesis, Daily Relic, whatsoever. But it's not that much, and getting rid of the small creatures or even the flying creatures with 2/1 with this trigger is definitely nice. Then, Martin, how happy are you as a control player about a new Edict?
Well, it's not like we play really a lot of Edicts nowadays, but this one is definitely one of the better ones. I think Angra's Rampage was a great card, while I think still is a great card in decks like Nif Mizzet, but used to be a great card in my favorite deck of all time, Timber Crown. And this one basically is a better version of that, getting you to edict your opponent for creature and instant speed, and even getting around tokens, so you can ignore the pesty whatever tokens your opponent the pesty crabs generated by what's the card
Hard
called?
Evidence.
Hard Evidence.
Yes.
And just making them sacrifice the actually good creature that you want them to sacrifice, and even getting to Planeswalkers, which is, while we got a lot of Planeswalker removal in recent sets, I think we're still not there yet. I think we still we still don't have the same ways of dealing with planeswalkers than we have with creatures due to, usually the big planeswalkers that are annoying not getting removed by bolts and stuff like that. So this is still very nice. I think this will definitely see play in a lot of decks, and might just be the best Edict nowadays. I think maybe the Sudden Edict with the Uncounterable could still maybe take this card spot, but I feel like the flexibility feels better to me. But we will see how it plays out. Those decisions are usually made by grinding games with those cards and not by thinking about them very hard.
Considering the fact that we have more and more ward commanders, I think it's more relevant than ever to play more edicts.
Yeah.
So when I played Soul of Windgrace at our last tournament, I also featured Sudden Edict, which I thought was quite a good card against Tivit, for example.
Definitely.
Otherwise, you don't really get rid of it, and so this one might see play every now and then.
Yeah.
For all the people who are very much into green Stompy decks, to be honest, we haven't seen that many in the past. Or in a
people or green zombie decks?
Green Stompy decks.
Both of them probably.
Yeah, I mean there is Yorvo, and there was Sylpharan, and now they printed a 3-mana 4/4 with Trample that has Proliferate. So for Yorvo, the Proliferate part is definitely interesting. Currently, I doubt that we see this card in a new future back again in the command zone.
But if you want to play that deck, play this card.
Yes, exactly. That's pretty much all about it.
And if you manage to hit your opponent 6 times with this card, your dinosaur also finishes the game immediately.
All right. But if you manage to hit, yeah, okay. You've done something good or the right way.
Yeah, you probably should win anyways.
What do you think about the new aura? There's a white new aura, Ossification.
Yeah, it's like On Thin Ice, but different. It's 2 mana, also get rid of Planeswalker. Also a derogatory term for Eastern Germans. So, yeah.
Yes. I mean, there is no Journey to Nowhere in the format. I think maybe Zytis plays it. This is right. Jesus, I just get rid of this card. I will never be able to pronounce it.
Yeah, ban it and ban Sarah Sanctum, right?
Yep. Okay, fair trade. I think some people would disagree with that, but that's for another.
The Light Pulse player definitely don't, right?
Well, it wasn't really played in Light Pulse because the deck is so fast in what it's doing. Yeah. It's not really necessary to have more mana.
Well, back to topic. This one is good. It's a 2 mana removal for creatures and planeswalkers in white. Enchants only basic lands, so maybe not the best card for your 5-color everything pile. But
that's why we have Leyline Binding for the 5-color pile.
Right. Leyline Binding also a lot better than this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just I think we talked about it last time already that it's for most decks it's quite hard to deal with enchantments. So having some sticked enchantments to the battlefield that deal with some permanents is not too bad. Most often you can't even get rid of cards like On Thin Ice and Leyline Binding.
Definitely.
So the chances
I think we will see this card. We won't see it often.
Yeah.
But if you're into brewing new decks, like a lot of those cards we just talked about, due to the low power level of the set, or at least for our format, keep it in your mind. Try it out.
Do that.
See if it works.
You should. The White Weenie players might be happy about it. Light Pulse might be happy about it. Yeah.
Let's see.
Something like this. Maybe even Elminster players.
I
don't know. Yeah,
I've never seen one.
It's too me neither. So there's another card. There are many cards, by the way, but we've also put Ichormoon Gauntlet onto our list to talk about because it's
talking about insane cards for Elminster.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. It doesn't really fit into Affinity if we at some point if we get a Tezzeret for the command zone, this might be a card for it, depending on the Tezzeret. But I think it's quite an interesting design. Casting non-creature spells, and is this also no? This is simply too bad for Aminatu.
No, this is. I don't think this card will see play immediately in a deck. I think it might be good for like high loyalty, low CMC planeswalkers that we might see in the future. I think with this we will maybe never see something like a 3 mana 12 loyalty planeswalker, because that would just be stupid with this card.
Yeah.
But if you think about like you can the uncommon planeswalkers only have downtick abilities. If you play Narset, you can play this and proliferate one, so then you have another minus. It's kind of nice if you take it.
True.
And for cards that gain a lot of loyalty and don't have ultimates like Elminster, you can just plus, and you're not really like, because with Elminster you feel like, oh, I have to minus now because I make 3/1/1s, and otherwise I will never make any impact to the board. And with this, at least you have something to work towards, and you get like, it's like 4 turns, I think. Yeah, 4 turns, 4 pluses, and then you can just minus for 12. Keep Elminster at 1 loyalty and have an extra turn, which is pretty good.
Yeah. But then again, if you manage to tick up Elminster 4 times without being interrupted.
Well, you also draw and play a bunch of non-creature spells during that time. But yeah, this is not a good card, but it's a very interesting card, and we don't have any effect that is like this. So either it's bad, and maybe with that we'll print a different card that's similar to this with a better effect, so that would be nice. Or it's okay and we can play with it.
Yep, fair enough. Last but not least, we have a little Mite potentially joining the command zone, but I think that won't happen. Some kind of a legendary Mother of Runes. Much worse. Again, there's Toxic 1, which is not relevant.
If this was my mom, I would be very, very worried. But you can go into tournaments, and if you hate your opponent, you can just be like, "Hey, I played your mom" or something.
The reason why we brought it up was it has the legendary phrase, which is relevant for Yoshimaru, for example.
Yeah.
But apart from this might see some play in White Weenie, and again, Ratchet is looking for artifact creatures. This is probably, in combination with the Chroniclers, the best takeaway for the Ratchet pile. But apart from that, I mean, it's much worse. It doesn't give protection. Only hexproof, and it can't be blocked. So if your opponent is roasting the board with a Fiery Confluence, for example, and your creature has 3 or less toughness, then it's still gone.
Yeah.
But I think it's fine. You can give it a try. What's a bit unfortunate
if you want a third giver, this is
exactly. Maybe this is even a substitute for a giver. Simply, I'm mainly thinking about Yoshi decks, but this might not even be good enough because it's lagging the aggressive part, and also you have to pay phyrexian mana in order to use the ability. So paying 2 life or 1 mana. Sometimes you can afford it, sometimes not. It's interesting. We will see.
It's worth trying out at least.
Yeah,
which
I think so too.
Can't be said about a lot of this cards in this set, I would imagine.
Yes.
So
I think so too. And that's, by the way, why we're already at the end. This time we only picked 10 cards, and we hope next time, the next set. I have no idea what's the next set, by the way, but it will come at some point. I'm pretty sure about that.
We will talk about it.
Maybe tomorrow the spoilers will begin.
Yeah.
Shortly after the set is released. That's the way they do it now, I think. Constantly.
There are some other fun cards in this set, but I think most of them are just to try for your local Duel Commander evenings with maybe a nice beer and just enjoy the games. Nothing for like tournament play.
Yeah, that sounds about right. With that being said, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.